like they're waiting there. So it's just like, okay. Oh, yes, it started.
Yeah, okay. Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to this year's edition of QSTP Talk series. My name is Ankita, and today we have a very special guest with us. She's an inspiration to anyone aspiring to be a successful product manager. After doing her undergrad from India, she got a scholarship and went to the States to pursue her master's from the prestigious University of Arizona. And currently, she is working as a senior product manager of the Office 365 team at Microsoft. Joining us live from Seattle, please welcome Ms. Ankita Mishra.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Ipshita, for a kind welcome. I'm so excited to be here and talking about one of the things that I love, which is product management. But before that, yes, I did my chemical engineering in JP University in India. And after that, I prepped for GMAT and got a scholarship and got various invites from various universities. But University of Arizona was amongst the top three in Masters of Information System, which was another master that I was pursuing other than the MBA. And I decided to go there, as well as the scholarship was like 90%. So that was another motivation to go and study in University of Arizona, Tucson. So before we begin, I hope everybody is doing good. Sorry about the technical glitch. We were figuring out on the YouTube thing. But let's start with what is product management and how to become a product manager. I will be sharing my screen, so just give me a second here. Okay, sweet. So I get this question a lot of time, whether it's Instagram, LinkedIn, or somebody who DMs me on Teams within Microsoft, or somebody who's in the US, like how to get into product management. What is product management? Is it different from project management? And a lot more, which we'll cover. And out of that gist, every time I talk to people, they just ask me like, how difficult is it to transition to product management? And I believe product management is a skill that any one of you who's listening today can learn. So, I mean, I'm sure people who are listening have done engineering or are planning to do engineering or have done some form of undergrad or doing it, right? And I believe, let's take an example of engineering. When you went to school, when you were born, you don't know the E of engineering, right? But then you go to school, your undergrad, you learn about engineering, whatever your field is, computer science, chemical, electronics, electrical, and you put in determination, focus, hard work, a little bit of fun, a lot of memories, and boom, you are an engineer. Similarly, product management is all about customer focus, customer empathy, understanding the problem, seeing the market needs, understanding what is this problem, what is the solution, laying that roadmap, working with your developers, designers, and boom, you make a product for your customers. And then you think about marketing it, shipping it. How do you differentiate it in a well-crowded market, right? So today's talk will not make you a product manager, but what it will do is lay that path, lay that foundation. So, whatever you know at this point in time, you will know much more after the talk is finished. I'm pretty sure about that. And that's my goal. I would love to know in the comments below if you have questions while I'm speaking or if there are any further topics that you would like to discuss with me. So, let's go ahead with product management and how to become a PM and thrive. So this is a content. What I will take you through a journey, right? We'll start with how did a chemical engineer become a product manager in one of the top tech companies in the world. Then we'll talk about what is product management and who actually is a product manager. We'll also talk about what are the different paths to product management because that is a question we all want to know. That is a question I get too often. Like, how can I become a PM? I'm a developer. How can I become a PM? I'm a lawyer, for example, right? So, what is that path to product management? What are the five core skills to build? So, these five skills are not the only skills, there are much more skills you learn as you progress in your career. But these are the 5 basic hardcore skills that you need as a base to enter into product management. What are the books to read? So there are 6 books that I've picked up, which really helped in my career when I started as a PM, when I was interviewing with Microsoft as a PM. And those are the 6 books I would recommend to anyone. They are beautifully written, they are amazing, and that will help you in your career. Last but not the least is actually the 6 practical ways that you can pursue post graduation and you can increase your chances of getting into product management. And the last but not the least is the Q&A round. So let's go ahead. Excuse me. Okay, so from chemical engineering to product management, get this question a lot of time, like, you're a chemical engineer, how did you go into product management? So let me take a step back and start from India, right? So I did my undergrad in chemical engineering, and I picked up chemical engineering because during that time when I went into undergrad, everybody was taking computer science. And I'm sure everybody is taking computer science even today because tech is the hardest place to be, right? We are developing new features, whether it's Chat GPT or Builder.ai or any AI company you talk about, it's all about tech, right? So everybody wants to know about tech. But when I was going into undergrad, I really wanted to understand how things are made, how petroleum is made, how soap is made, how things happen, right? When two chemicals react, what's the reaction like? And people ask me, oh, you must be really good in chemistry. Well, I like chemistry, physics, biology, maths, everything. But I think I just wanted to learn how things were made. And that got me into chemical engineering. I was a 9 pointer in chemical engineering, but I wanted to work in the industry, but my parents did not. So I was pushed into getting into technology, which was a blessing in disguise. I joined Infosys for a few years and I learned about database management, SQL, Java, and it was interesting, but I never wanted to be a coder. That was pretty clear in my head. But something that I liked during that phase was talking to customers, understanding their problems. And I always had this vision when I think I was in 6th grade that I wanted to go for my master's to US. And I always told my parents that one day I'll make that happen. And while I was in Bangalore, I started preparing for my GMAT, gave my IELTS, got the score, got scholarships, not only in University of Arizona, but various other prestigious universities, and came for my MBA. When I was in my MBA, I got a CGP greater than 8. And in that, in America, you get a chance if you want to double up your master's and become a dual major. And I love studying. So I was like, okay, let's do this. Let's study MBA with Master of Information Systems, like I was just talking, which is one of the top 3 MIS in US is in University of Arizona, in public universities, of course. So I did both of them. And that was a time when I heard about product management. So various companies like Intel, Microsoft, they used to come to University of Arizona for consulting projects, which were pro bono projects where they took students and they used to talk about, give them a problem to solve. And then we were a group of 5 to 4 students who actually took that problem and did it like solve problems for them. How did it help both the parties? Number one, for us, it gave us a lot of exposure into big tech companies. It taught us what product management was. How do you present? How do you talk to customers? How do you convince them of your ideas, right? And for the big companies, they got a fresh perspective. It was not somebody who's working in that company, but somebody who's coming fresh out of school. What is their perspective about a problem? How do they solve problem? What technology, what skills are they using to solve that problem? And thankfully, MBA and MIS was actually the center. It was that sweet spot between business and technology, which gave me both the skills, and I learned about product management. Later that year, I went to Grace Hopper Conference, which is the biggest technology conference that happens throughout the world. So if you're in India, that happens in Bangalore, I think. You should definitely look out for that because every company, if you're a woman or a man, you can attend that conference, but every company has number of open positions that they give out in that conference. It's a huge scale, amazing conference to attend, right? If you love technology. I went there in Orlando and I got my first shot at Microsoft. That's where I gave my first screening round. And literally, it was like a Tuesday. They told me that, okay, on a Thursday, you need to come and give us your first round on product management. Until then, I just heard about product management. I read about product management, but I never worked as a product manager, right? So in those 1.5 days, I quickly went through the entire internet, also read the book How to Crack the PM Interview, and called a few of my friends who were actually in product management and said that, hey, if you had to tell me 5 things, what will that be? Studied. So I'm sharing this example because I want you to know that if I can do it, even you can, right? I mean, it's not something that is unachievable. It's not something impossible. It's something that you have to put your focus, determination, and hard work, because there is no shortcut to that, and then strive for it, right? And that's how I entered into product management. I later that year, 2018 actually, 2017, I qualified that screening round. Then I got a phone round. Then they flew me to Seattle for 5 rounds. So it was a whole interview day from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. in Microsoft headquarters, Redmond campus. And later that week, they told me that, hey, you've been selected for the internship at Microsoft, which started in the summers of 2018. And that's how I entered into product management as an intern, where I learned so much. I mean, if you enter as an intern in one of the big tech companies, they handhold you and they teach you all the skills and how it is done, right? So I was very fortunate. I'm very grateful for this opportunity because it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about product management, people skills, collaboration, teamwork, etc. So that's my journey from chemical engineering to product management. The picture is when I graduated out of my MBA degree. MIS still was pending for 6 months. Later went this summers to Seattle for my internship and came back and completed the last 6 months of my MIS degree. And I was out of school after 2 majors. Okay, so what is product management and who is a product manager? So now you've known about me. Now, this is a question that we get all the time, right? What exactly is product management and who is product manager? I mean, we hear this word revolving around, and sometimes it's technical PM, sometimes it's strategy PM, sometimes it's operation PMs. How do you actually differentiate between different PMs, right? So, I read one of the best books, which is Inspired. It's by Marty Kagan, and he's a partner in a Silicon Valley product group. That book is amazing. It's a must read. It's actually in this deck. I'll showcase you so that you can go and buy it for yourself. And he said the job of a product manager is to discover a product that is valuable, usable, and feasible, right? And now, what does that mean? I'll break that down for all of you. So let's talk about discovery, right? So discoverable, right? So this is actually product management. This particular line, the job of a product manager is to discover the product that is valuable, usable, and feasible. And then that actually breaks down the product management definition, right? So let's talk about discover. Discoverable means the product manager identifies the problem, finds a solution, work with developers, customers, markets, and designers. That means imagine today any product that you're using, right? Whether it's a grocery shopping app that you use to get your groceries, whether it is an Uber app which helps you to book a cab, right? Go anywhere, or whether it's your flight app which helps you to book a flight and then go anywhere, or your Instagram where you post pictures and you talk to your friends and you post stories and you give all your updates in your life, right? Everything was a problem that was discovered by a PM. There was this person who thought, okay, fine, you know what? I'm getting bored. I want to click some pictures and I want to showcase it to the world, not only to the people who live close to me, my parents, my cousins, my neighbors, but somebody like Ankita who's sitting in Seattle. How can I do that? And there is where the discovery happened. They thought about a problem that is not just faced by them but by faced by a variety of audience all across the world or maybe in their country. And then they thought about, okay, fine, now I have this problem. You know what, I need some other people to think, to help me think it more, right? So as a PM, I don't have to think about backend architecture or coding. I'll call up, like for example, I thought about this problem, I'll call up my friend XYZ who's a dev, and I like, hey, you know what, I think about, I want to share my picture across the world, how to do it, can you help me in building that code, can you help me to envision that, because I don't want to be in a position where I think about something but I'm not able to build it. That person joins it. Then there'll be a designer for the UI, right, who thinks about, okay, how will the interface be, how will somebody like Ankita come in and uploads her picture and maybe give some filters because everybody likes filters, maybe, give some hashtags because that'll improve the discoverability of their post. maybe give a share button, maybe also give a like button, comment button, etc. And that's how a product manager identifies a problem, but also finds the solution. You don't just have to say, hey, there's a problem. You also have to go back and think about a solution. And then you also do a customer analysis. That means imagine when Instagram or Gmail or Xbox for Microsoft or Office 365 for Microsoft that you use, the product that I work on, came for the first time. Somebody thought about it, Word, Outlook, Excel, and then went to the customer in their very basic mode, beta mode, and said that, hey, you want to try our products? And whatever feedback you give to us, we'll work on that. And that's how you develop different versions of the product, right? Now let's move to the second one, which is valuable. Right, so it shouldn't be that okay, you found a problem, now you're okay, fine, this is the only solution. It cannot be anything other than this. I don't know if most of you know, I am just giving here examples that I've heard about, which I've read in different, books. But Instagram opened as a photo sharing app, right? I mean, it was a photo filtering app, actually. It started with posting your photos and then applying different filters. But then it saw that a lot of people are using it to share pictures too. And that's how it adapted. It's changed its solution and it came across as a social media app in which you interact with people, you share your experiences, you comment, you like, you love. So as you have to see that your solution, whatever you're pitching to the customers, it's valuable to the customer and it is also viable from a business perspective. That is, today if I get up, I work in Office 365 and I say, hey, you know what, we're gonna develop a social media app. No, that's not viable from my business perspective, right? My business is purely enterprise business in which we deal with enterprise clients and there are huge accounts that we talk to them and we solve their problems. We give them enterprise solutions for Word, Office 365, enterprise cloud solution, tenants, and that is our domain of business, right? Similarly, you can pick up various companies and see, like Microsoft has a very diverse portfolio. It has gaming from Xbox, it has your Office 365, then it has your Azure, which is cloud. Similarly, Amazon has a diverse portfolio. But if you look into Meta, which is very much centered around the social media domain, and they just started Threads, they acquired WhatsApp, they acquired other companies, whereas Microsoft wants to get into AI and they acquired ChatGPT. So they are seeing the value and then they are trying to have a business perspective there. So number one is discover the problem, find a solution. Number two, you have to make sure your solution is valuable. And last but not the least is usability and feasibility, which is usable and feasible. That means I can design a very complex solution, right? There have been moments where you've used a product and you're like, oh my God, this is so complex. I can do this myself. Why do I have to use this product? So it has to be something really simple, really usable, right? So for example, when you're booking an Uber, right, your cab, it's so simple. You go in, you look for where you want to go, you look for the price, you book the car. Uber tries to find out the driver and gives you the driver details, right? Uh, it is so simple. The experience is so smooth. And imagine from the time of your parents where they had to find a cab, they had to stand on the road, they had to shout all different kind of things, then stop a taxi, ask for the address. Sometimes the drivers had attitude, and then they had to negotiate, and then they were like, okay, fine, you know what, now I have to take this cab. And sometimes somebody else used to come, give them a high price and take that cab. So the whole thing was so tiring, exhausting, and was not smooth at all. So hence Uber found a solution and made it more usable, more engaging, more realistic. And by feasible, I mean it should be feasibly possible to deliver that, right? So again, coming to the book, how Uber started, they started in New York, they started learning there, they started experimenting there. Okay, they found the feasibility of it, they found what is working, what is not working. They found in the start of the experiments that it was very difficult for solo riders, especially women, to book a cab. So they started like background check of their drivers, and they were like, okay, fine, you know what, we have to give the background check, and then it'll be feasible for a woman at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. to book a cab and go anywhere, right? So, and they also have a 911, which is like in US they have that. I don't know about India, but it is like you can have an emergency contact there. You can have an emergency police number there. If something is not working, you can give a call to them if your driver is taking you somewhere else. So I mean, somebody actually thought about these different cases, right? These different use cases when they actually launched the product and they got a lot of customer feedback. So the point being here is I'll take a step back and I'll try to combine everything. So as a PM, your job is to find a problem. There are various problems, so trust me, it's not saturated. It's not something, oh, everybody has it figured out. We have a driving app, we have a grocery ordering app, we have Office 365, we have a cloud solution. No, there are still a lot of problems in the world. As a PM, you need to discover it, you need to make it valuable, you need to make it usable, user friendly, you have to make it feasible for the person to use. That means you have to get a lot of customer feedback, do a lot of tests, fail, learn, and then come back with a different version. That is actually what product management is. And who does this? That person is called a product manager. So, more simply, that was a very heavy loaded definition. If you look into this diagram by Martin Erickson, who had this diagram copyrighted in 2011, it is a sweet spot, like I talked about, between business, tech, and UX. Why do I say that? Because as a PM, your job will be in all these three domains. You will not just be working on developing something, talking to customers. You will be talking to customers as a PM. How does my day start? So, for example, I get a problem. Hey, Ankita, you know what? I think it is time we should launch something in this domain. Can you go and figure it out? So, what I'll try to do is I'll go outside and see if there are any other companies doing this. That is competitive research. I'll also go and talk to my present customers whom I've built contacts with for, like, you know what, 1.5 years I've been working in this particular project. And then I'll talk to them and I'll say, hey, what do you think about this? Is this your pain point? Do you really want a solution here? Because I don't want my company, Microsoft, to invest billions of dollars and then have something which the customer won't even use, right? Because I have it in my head that, you know what, this will solve a problem. So I go and test it out. That is the business side of things. That is, you test on the business front first. Then you move to the tech. Then you talk to your developers. You will say, hey, you know what, I've got this cool idea. I'll write a spec on this. I've already spoken to the customers. I've already done competitive analysis. So and so company is already doing it, or so and so company is already thinking about doing it. What is the technical feasibility on our side? Do we have the technology? Do we have to build the technology? Can you tell me how much time it will take? Can you tell me how many developers it would take? And then the engineering managers start talking about, you know what is the feasibility of the solution, right? How much cost will this cost Microsoft? Because we have to give all these numbers to leadership to grant a project, right? And then parallelly, I'll start developing some use cases for customers, like how will the experience be when they come to Word, right? What are the different tabs that they will have? Okay, what are the different type of fonts they will have? Can we add some AI into this? Yeah, I mean, you know, Copilot will be so cool if we add Copilot on Word, right? I'm writing a paragraph and maybe I'm not grammatically correct, or I want to add a picture and Copilot can help me with that. There should be a share, because I would want, my developers and my, my UX designer to see the doc. So that's where you start developing those designs. So yes, every product that you use today is actually not just thought by a PM, but also the basic designing was done by a PM. So as a PM, I also do the basic wireframes, and then I take it to a designer who work in Figma files or whatever tech they use, and they try to convert those very raw. Actually, I've made sometimes diagrams too of stick figures, like an admin comes in and she does this and write various scenarios, and then that is taken up by my designer who actually converts it into beautiful screens in Figma, and then she tries to have this interactive way to show it, so that when I'm pitching this idea to leadership, they are able to grant a project, right? And this is the circle that you talk about. And then once your project is granted, you again go back to business, you get it verified with your customer, you launch like a preview version of it, in which there are basic customers who like to participate in the basic preview, and then you go again to your devs, get everything sorted, whatever feedback you got, go to your UX, again get it changed, and come to business. Every product that you use today has new features added, right? That is how it is added, that they develop it, they send it out to customer, they get a lot of feedback. Like, for example, look at Instagram and TikTok. TikTok came as a video app, TikTok was booming, and then Instagram had a talk. The PMs were like, okay, you know what, we are just sharing pictures, we need a video. What does the video call? It's called Reels. Okay, They started with 15 seconds, they moved to 30 seconds, they moved to 60 seconds because actually they copied the entire model, because that was so popular, that was so nice, that they were like, you know what, I will like to take what the customers are liking in TikTok, let's try to replicate because we have a huge customer base. And that's so many companies who actually look around, see the competition, and try to build on something that they already have, right? So more simply, that is, this diagram is one of the best diagrams I have seen so far ever since I'm a PM, to give an explanation to someone of what actually a PM does or what is product management. So, more simply to put it, product manager helps their team and company to ship the right product to the customers. And I say right because there are various, like if you open your App Store, right, or your Google Play, you will see so many products. You'll see so many games, you'll see so many apps, but not every product is successful. Why? Because for any product to be successful, there has to be an audience, there has to be a customer base that is ready to pay for it and use it, and then also ask others to use it, right? So just a quick example here about product management that I love is like, I don't know how many of you know how Tinder started, right? Tinder was started in a university in California, by two brothers, and they just wanted a socializing app. They were like, dating is hard, and we would like to start this app, but how to market it? I mean, who will use it, right? It'll be just another app in App Store. So what they did was, they went to this college campus. They had a brother there or a friend there, who was friends with the cool people in the college in undergrad, grad, and they went there and they said, hey, you know what? We are throwing this huge party at our house this weekend, why don't you come and invite others also in your college, like other people who are famous, and come with them. The only condition, so everything is on the house, you'll get a lot of food, you'll get other beverages, but one thing is you have to download this app called Tinder on your phone, and everybody who comes inside has to download this app, and then you'll be given entry to the party. And what happened was, I think 200, 500 people showed up at that party and everybody downloaded the app. Now, what that was the first biggest step that you need in your product, right? Which is in which a consumer downloads your product and start using it. So people who came there downloaded it and they did not know what that is, right? While they were in the party, they started seeing that that app had pictures of a really good looking guy or a girl they saw at the party, and they wanted to talk to them, but it was so difficult to talk to them. But when they saw in that app that person was single and that person's name was there, their profile was there, and they were like, okay, you know what? I'll meet this person tomorrow. They swiped. That started a chain reaction. When they got out of that party, next day people started meeting people, they started talking about this app. And these brothers did the same thing in various universities in US, and that's how Tinder became such a popular app in such a small amount of time. So intelligent, I mean, just look at it. They actually shipped the right product to the customers and they engaged the customers right in the front, and the customers went talking about it. That is a beautiful product in which you start a chain reaction. You give it to a small audience, they talk to other audience, they take it forward, and your work is being done by your customers. I'm sharing this example because you should read about it. It's an impressive idea that they did. And similarly, there are various other impressive examples like Uber, Instagram, Gmail, Office 365, Azure, AWS, how this was started and what started this. Okay, so this is another question that I get a lot. I'll take a pause here, but look into this table before I dive into it. But one of the questions that I get a lot is, hey, you know what? Project management is product management, right? I mean, can I be a project manager and still work as a product manager? Are you a project manager? I get asked a lot of time, though I have it on my profile that I'm a product manager. So I wanted to really share this because this is a common question. This has been asked a lot of time. So imagine, like I just described everything, right? Product manager is from initiation to end. That means you initiate an idea, you think about the customers, you think about the problem, you think about the solution, you think about the roadmap, like when are you releasing it, after 6 months, after 12 months. You also think about a plan to release it, right? And then you also drive and oversee how to develop it. And you also talk to consumers as well as your stakeholders who are going to invest in your project. Whereas a project manager is somebody, so by the way, not all companies have project managers. Like, for example, I in Microsoft work as a project manager too. That means I'm a product manager, but I also do the job of project manager. That means I go and coordinate with other teams. If, of course, if I'm building something that cannot just be by my team, there are so many overlapping technologies who have PMs. So I go there and talk to them, hey, where's your project at? Because I really need that tech in my product. Uh, in other companies like Amazon, for example, project manager role is different. It's very well defined. And what does a project manager do is, now there are 5 PMs, say Ankita and other 4 other people who are working on the school tech that is coming up for Amazon, and they want to deliver something on December 25th, which we never deliver. It's Christmas, but yeah, they want to deliver something on December 25th. Who's going to coordinate between them? That's where a project manager comes in. She comes in, she breaks down the large initiative into tasks and say, hey, Ankita, for that delivery that's happening on December 25th, you need to complete these 7 things. Then she'll move to the next person. They'll be like, XYZ, you have to complete these 10 things. They plan the timeline instead of the product manager, a single product manager planning the timeline for all other 4, which I do. In Amazon, somebody else does. They say, okay, these are your timelines, that your milestone 1 will be delivered by the end of August, then September, then October. By November, we should be doing testing, and December, we should be releasing it, right? They allocate how much time, energy, resources you need. They monitor the task. So it's like you're monitoring a project, right? You are taking care of everything that comes in the project. And a project is a huge project that involves a lot of product managers, right? So you yourself are not working on that product. Like I just said, you won't think of an idea, you won't think of a solution, you won't design it, right? But you will help others facilitate it. That means you will help them to complete that in a particular set time frame. So if you go through it, that is what product manager is. You research it, you set the product vision, you communicate it, you develop it, you create it, you oversee and drive it. Whereas a project manager is, you plan the timeline. So it's basically timeline related, I would say, project manager. So if you are someone who don't want to work, who don't think that, you know what, I don't want to work in an idea, I don't want to work on one single project, a product, but I want to oversee a lot of products and then give timeline, have agile, have like, some kind of chart format that, okay, this is getting delivered this time, have those kind of talks to leadership, then your fit is project manager rather than a product manager. Okay, so this is a very cool slide because I feel everybody can be a product manager, right? So, what is your path to product management? Again, this is a pretty heavy loaded topic. I get this asked a lot of time, and people are like, hey, you know what? I am a developer. I want to be a product manager. How can I get into product management, right? Or, hey, you know what? I don't have a computer science degree. I am a literature major. Can I be a product manager? Well, the answer is yes. So in my team, we are 8 people, right? 8 PMs, PMs in different level. My manager has 7 other people under her. And out of those 8 people, I would say 6 have undergrads not in computer science. Yes, that's correct. And they are working in Microsoft and developing really cool products. And that's not just in my team. When I look around, people are literature majors, music majors, art majors, people who were lawyers initially, people who worked in consulting and then came to product management, chemical engineers, right? I did not study computer science. So if you ask me to code, no, I cannot. But I would tell you the architecture, how things work, how APIs are called, how interaction happens, how is that delivered to the customer, right? So anybody can be a PM. I want to open the floor to that. And there are various paths how you can transition, right? The number one is internal transition at a large company. So the good thing is if you're already working in a company, companies like Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Google, they really encourage people to follow their passion. And you can always approach your manager and say, hey, you know what? I've worked as a developer, I've worked as a designer, and I really like, it's very cool what product managers do, and I want to transition as a PM. And they help you make contacts. I mean, so many people in front of me in Microsoft have done that, right? Microsoft encourages this a lot because they want people to work where their passion lies. A lot of developers of mine have changed their careers and come on the PM side. A lot of PMs have actually, not a lot, but I would say a little bit, have left PMing and went to development, but that fraction is less, I would say. But that is a really cool thing. So it is totally possible if you confide in your manager, if you really like your team and want to pursue product management in that, that is a cool way to enter into product management because your company will help you in that transition, right? The other thing is you find a PM role through full-time or internship in large companies. So I have actually kept 2 separate things. One is large companies, excuse me, and the other is a startup. Uh, Why? Because in a large company like Microsoft, for example, I can give that example. Your role is very defined, right? I know what I'm working on. I know this is in my charter. I have to deliver these things in this time frame, and I am a technical PM. That means I have to think about strategy too, but I don't have to think about operations, about marketing, other things. So my role is very much defined. You can do that. You can enter into a big tech company after your graduation and start from a junior PM level. I would say junior is the best, because I know everybody wants to become a senior in their first job, but trust me, you don't want to be at a place where you don't know how to design things, because nobody will help you when you enter at a senior level as a PM and if you have not done PMing before. So imagine like a box, right? So when you enter as a junior PM, they give you a box that has three sides, but one side is missing. And they'll be like, okay, now, Ankita, go and figure out how to make this one side. Now you can put a lid, you can put a wooden block. As a PM, it's your imagination, right? When you enter as a senior, like right now, my problems are two sides of a box. That means I have to figure out the other two sides, which is difficult, right? I don't know what those two sides are. One can be glass, one can be wood, both can be wood. It can be a blank, it can be just have two sides. So it becomes difficult. And as you go to principal and other partner level, your other two sides also go away and you get like a dot of a problem, and you'll be like, now figure that out. They'll just give you like one line. This issue is happening, Ankita, go and solve this, and you have to solve it. So when you enter into a large company, you have to be very mindful about what you are entering into and how much you know. So enter as a junior, learn a lot, and then progress. And trust me, I got my first promo in like 5 months, from a junior to a junior two, which was amazing because I tried to push myself and learn quickly. So that progression is very much possible. Third is joining a startup. So I wrote that separate because when you join a startup, you wear different hats, right? Everybody, I'm sure, can connect with this who's listening. It's not that your role is defined. It's not that they know that you will just work on the business side or just the technology side. No, you have to work on the strategy, the operations, and sometimes even go and sell your products to customers. There are different facets to it. So joining a startup will give you a lot of exposure, a lot of good learning, which you can take up and go to large companies and apply it, which will be a smooth ride after that. Or last but not the least is always starting your own company. I know there are so many people in India who are amazing, and even in US, if you're listening from the US, who have amazing ideas, who want to do, not just for themselves, but want to help others and bring them on their team. So if you're planning to start your own company, you can start with the initiation, like the Uber example I told you about, the Instagram example, or the Tinder example. There were people who actually were the product managers, if you think about it. They thought about a product, they thought about a customer, they thought about a solution, and they started their own company. So that is one of the coolest ideas, that if you have the passion, you have an idea, you can start your own company and be a CEO of product, and then actually get rise to be a CEO, which again, you will still be very much interested in the product, because that is where the moolah is coming from, right? Um, Moving to the five core skills to build. So this is very important because I feel anybody can be a PM, right? Like I said, but it's very important to have the right mindset and to have the right skills. There are various skills that you learn, right? Some of them are not mentioned here, like team playing, right? As a PM, you have to be a team player because you're in meetings whole day, you're talking to people, you're convincing them. Sometimes I'm in a meeting with developers who are at a principal level, but I have to convince them that they work on my product, right? And I'm a senior, so they are senior to me, but then they have to listen to me. So it's all about communication and team player there. Those are the different skills that come in. But if you ask me, these are the top five core skills which will help you to go a long way. Number one will be strategic thinking, which is need to know the big picture, right? Strategic thinking is that you don't have to just say, hey, you know what, I have this idea, really cool idea, but it'll just work 1 month. No, you have to think about what are the market trends, what is the competition, what does the customer need. You have to go above and beyond and not just think about a month, but years, 5 years, 10 years. Where will you take your product, right? That is strategic thinking. Second, once you have thought your idea, it's about communication and empathy, right? Communication is so important in PMing. Your entire job is related on talking to people, in convincing them, in pitching your ideas, in talking to customers, understanding their pain points. Communication is the key of becoming a great PM. So you have to. So if you're an introvert or an ambivert, by the way, I'm an ambivert, you have to switch on your mode of talking and bring your ideas live because you're doing something that you're passionate about, right? And then there is empathy. Empathy comes because you will make amazing products if you can sync with your audience, if you can understand, okay, fine, you know what? My best friend, like so and so, is facing this problem. How to solve this problem? And then you start thinking as your best friend, and you're like, okay, you know what? She's going through a lot. I really need to solve this. So that is where the empathy comes in. Problem solving is very closely related to strategic thinking, which is you understand the pain points, you diverse solutions. Anything, if you ever thought yourself as, there's a problem and you want to solve it, you'll be an amazing PM because that is our job. We generally get problems that, hey, there's this problem that the customers is facing, go and solve it. So you have to be good in problem solving. Technical acumen, I would say it's amazing. If you have a technology degree, kudos, you have a point up. But if you don't, you should just understand how technology works, which is how do the APIs talk? What is the backend architecture? And that is what PMing is. You don't have to code. You will never be asked to code. That's another thing that people ask me. No, I don't code. People don't ask me to code. But yes, I do check a code. I do check that, okay, the backend architecture is working fine. It's the APIs are getting called when they have to be called. How are the APIs interacting? What are the underlying services that are talking to each other to deliver this to the customer? Because when the problem arises, when the customer has a problem, they come to me as a PM, right? I should know what team to go to, right? I mean, where is the problem? If they are not able to give the feedback, that means there's a problem in the feedback channel. So let's go to the feedback team. If they are not seeing the UI, okay, there is a front end rendering that is not happening. Let me go and talk to the front end engineers. What's happening? What are the metrics? What's the engagement like? What's the reliability like? Where is the problem happening? So all those things as a PM I need to understand. So hence the technical acumen is very, very important. And also when you have to develop a product, right, you cannot do everything together, right? It requires money, and you have to convince your leadership on what are the P0s. These are the basic minimal thing that we'll give to the customers. So for that too, you need to have a technology understanding that, okay, this technology is already present here. So you know what, we don't have to invest a lot. So let's give these 5 things first, and then we can build the technology for the other 5 things. Last but not the lead is leadership and collaboration. I say leadership because you are a CEO of a product, though nobody gives you credit for that. But you have to lead. You have to have a vision in your head that you tell to others that, hey, you know what? I'm thinking about this co-pilot feature within Office 365, Word, Outlook, Excel, that will help, or presentations that will help customers that they can just something and will help them build that presentation out of scratch. That's a new Copilot feature. If you've not tried it, go and try. That's another thing as a PM. If you want to get into PMing, go and try different products. See what is working, see what is not working. Write an email to them. That's what I used to do in college. Say to them that, hey, you know what? I really like this. Like the other day, I was using some app and there was not a direct feedback that I could give. And I wrote to them that, hey, it's 2023. There should be a direct feedback that I can write. Why do I have to, talk to a bot? So I mean, these are various things that you can take up and do and see how do you work around it. Okay, we are nearing the end. These are the top 6 books to read to get into product management. And again, this is not the only books. Once you're finished reading these 6, your feed will become more adaptive and you will get more ideas and more recommendation. And you can always check out cool websites like Verge or the Product School, or listen to cool podcasts, right? What is product management, Product School podcast, in which they keep telling you the good books or the upcoming books. But these are the top 6 that I would recommend to anyone because I've read all of them. I would say start with the orange one, Cracking the PM Interview. That was a book actually that I read in one day. Not read, but I actually went through the summary of it in one day before my Microsoft interview. And this book is amazing. It actually has a breakdown per company too. So I read the Microsoft section because my interview was with Microsoft. And it also has an Amazon section where I also interviewed with Amazon. So, I mean, it has different sections where you can go and you can talk, you can read about how different companies take PMs, what are the skills they are looking at, how can I crack the PM interview. So generally design questions. In PMing, they ask you how to design an alarm clock, how to design an elevator, asked me how to design an elevator. Microsoft will never design elevators, right? But it's all about your thinking. It's all about throwing you in deep waters because they know that technology can change overnight and you should be able to adapt. So this is just a test, right? So everything is in this book. It's a beautiful book. Inspired, the book I'm talking about has amazing examples from Uber to uh, TikTok, I think, or they have an example for Tinder for sure. So it tells you how to get inspired and how to create the products that customers love. Product play book is by the Product School. It's amazing. It is actually a very basic book. It will tell you how to become a great product manager. Sprint is all about new ideas in 5 days. How do you sprint? How do you develop quickly? Lean Startup, Eric Rice, you would have heard about this book. This is the New York Times bestseller. Amazing. And Hooked is, again, how do you form products? When they say habit forming products, it's about how do you train your mind to get hooked into something, like how do you train it that the customers are hooked, you are hooked into developing it. So it's an amazing book again. This is the last section, the last leg of my presentation, where I talk about I have given all this amazing talk about what is a product management, what is a product manager, but now it's time to take up that talk and to apply it in your life, right? Because I'll be going back to my job, right? But you have to now take the step up and you have to do some hard work and some actions. And what can you do to get into product management, right? I would say networking and information interviews, number one. So, in today's world, everything revolves around networking. One piece of advice that I can give to anybody listening or whoever will watch this is networking is a two-way street. So when you approach somebody on LinkedIn saying, "Hey, I'm so and so, this is the job link. I want a job in Microsoft. Can you please help me get it?" Trust me, out of the 500 people you approach, not even one will reply because that is not how the way networking happens. Networking happens is I get a lot of DMs in which people say, "Hey, you know what? We love your blog, we love your profile. I want to get into blogging. I want to learn about product management. Can I have like an intro call?" Without asking me for things, they ask for knowledge. So networking is like that, right? It's a two-way street. Try to do that. Attend some seminars. Go and reach out to people, right? If you see a product manager, go and talk to them. Say to them that, "Hey, you know what? If you give me your 30 minutes, I can take you out for coffee because I really want to learn about this." So it's a two-way street, right? I'm not saying you have to give something, but I'm saying that if the other person is investing time in you, there should be something for them. They should be able to learn from you, or there should be something in store for them. It's like anything in the world, right? So, networking and information interviews are a good way to get into product management, where you go and talk to people who are already doing it and build that network. And networking helps you too, especially in America. If you're planning to come to the US, networking is like the key to anything, right? Tomorrow, if something happens, you should have a network of people that you can reach out to who can help you. Attending conferences and meetups. Well, this is a picture of 2017 where I was in school. It has just been 1 year in the United States, and I went to Grace Hopper conference, and this is where I got my first shot at Microsoft. So this picture is really special. If you're listening this, please look for Grace Hopper Celebration. It's an amazing conference. You'll meet really like-minded people, and there are various other conferences. Product School has their own conference. You should just look for product conferences and go and meet up like-minded people because there's a wave, there's a feeling, there's an emotion you get there that'll push you up and make you learn so much in that short amount of time of 2 or 3 days, right? That is a good investment. These conferences, by the way, are very expensive. I spent around $1,200 USD, yes, for this conference out of my pocket because I couldn't get into the student. So, by the way, Grace Hopper Celebration sells out in 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and when I went, there were 17,000 seats. So you can imagine the kind of the kind of craze is there for this conference. So but I wanted to spend that money. I took a gamble. I was like, you know what, I am, and that was my internship saved money, right? I did not had anything after that, so I put that money into getting a ticket for the conference, and that ticket converted into an internship of Microsoft. It just worked out for me. I'm not saying that, oh, you go to a conference and you will find a job, but I think you have to take risk in life to see where it'll land, right? So this is the second picture is that. Third is a very important thing, build your brand and online presence. So I keep telling people the coming world is about your online presence, right? The more you build it, the more successful you're going to be, right? Today, look around you. Every person that you know, you would have seen them on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, whatever platform you're using. That is so important. Even when you apply to a company, they ask for your LinkedIn. Every person I refer on Microsoft, or every person who applies to Microsoft, has to submit their LinkedIn. So go to LinkedIn, upgrade your profile, and write some meaningful things. Become interactive, talk to people, have a brand, so that today people know me in America, in Seattle, in India, with Brown Girl in Tech, because I have actually spent a lot of months and years building that profile. It takes a lot to build your brand, but I would encourage everybody listening to this to build that brand, because that is what is you, and that will differentiate you from the 10,000 applications. By the way, companies like Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Google get 10,000 applications. That's an average every day. And if you have to stand out, you have to level up your game, right? Uh, Finding the right mentor, that is a fabulous thing. That's something that I did when I joined my internship. I used to have lunches with different people different days, because I wanted to find that right person. Like, maybe my criteria was very different. I wanted like a South Asian woman in tech who is at a partner position, because I want to be that. I want to learn from her. What were her challenges? What can she tell me? But I also has a mentor as not a woman, but somebody who has been working in tech for a long time, because then I wanted to get their perspective too, right? So find different types of mentors, reach out to people for mentoring. And again, you cannot just reach out randomly to anybody to be your mentor. You have to have that relationship with them, which comes after talking to them for around 6 to 8 months, and then asking them, hey, you know what, I really loved your inspiration, your whatever you taught me in the 6 months, and now I want you to mentor me. Then that becomes easy for the person to say yes, right? I mean, you cannot just get up and mentor the people you don't know, right? So find the right mentor. Maybe somebody who's working in the same company that you're aspiring to be, maybe somebody who's working in the same product that you aspire to work on. Gaining practical experiences. This picture is from the summer of 2018, where I interned at Microsoft. So again, like I said in the start or in the mid, Microsoft internship actually created that base for me in product management. It was impressive. It was amazing. So find co-ops, find internships when you are in your undergrad or in your grad school, because that kind of exposure will be golden. I mean, people will handhold your hand. People will answer your 10,000 questions. You can reach out. Actually, I reached out to, when I was in my internship, I reached out to Rajesh Jha, which is a very, very funny story. He is the head of the entire office division. So he directly reports to Satya Nadella. And he talked to me. I mean, I got his time. I got 15 minutes because I was an intern. So, I mean, you can always play your intern card, your co op card. It's an amazing way to gain practical experience, right? And last but not the least, with all these 5 things I've talked about, go to that application and interview. Even if you're half prepped, I would say go, because you will learn a lot. Even a failure will be so helpful, because you'll say, okay, fine, you know what, I did very good in design questions, but I'm lacking in the problem solving questions, so I should work more towards the problem solving questions. Or, you know what, I have to work more on my communication. Or, you know what, I have to work more towards my storytelling. So go out, expose yourself, go to the application and interviews, and give those application and interviews. And with that, I think I have covered everything that is required for you to get up, know about product management, product manager, and take some practical actions, right? And with that, we'll move into the Q&A section.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ankita, for that informative and empowering talk. Your journey is a true testament to the power of determination and passion. Now, we circulated a form with our viewers in which we got some fantastic questions for you. So, we'll move on to the Q&A session. So first of all, let's talk about your journey. So your journey from chemical engineering to the tech industry, it's truly inspiring. So could you share some of the challenges you faced in getting shortlisted for tech roles, given your background in chemical engineering?
Okay. I think, yeah, I mean, of course, there were challenges, I would say, when I'm standing in the booth with a person with a ComSci degree, computer science degree. It is like, they know everything. You become a little intimidated. But I can talk about the US scene, and I know sometimes in India it is different, because I get DMs from both the countries. What I feel is that if you are dedicated, if you have done your study, that's what I did. I tried to learn everything about the company I was interviewing for. In this case, Microsoft. I tried to understand how do PMs work in that company. And when I went, I came with the vision that, hey, you know what? I'm very passionate about learning. I don't have the degree, but I have a lot of passion. I have a lot of drive that I want to develop cool products. If you can ask me anything and give me a chance. Uh, it was, I would say, intimidating and difficult, just like you enter into something new, but it's not something a stark difference, I would say, because anybody with a computer science degree will also start at that level and they will do the same thing. That's something I've learned over time, that it's a skill which you can learn. So in America, for example, they give you a lot of credit if you are astronomer, if you're a chemical engineer and then you're coming into technology. They're like, wow, you know what, you learn something, you have this amazing knowledge about some other thing, and now you're coming into this new thing, you're starting from base. That's so good, that's so crazy. We want to give you a chance. So I got actually internship from 5 companies, but I chose Microsoft because I feel people want that different perspective here, where you have different backgrounds, like in literature, music, arts, chemical engineering, electrical engineering, and then entering into technology. Because that comes into play. I can totally say that. Like my chemical engineering knowledge is coming into play when I'm thinking about how products are made, how things are done. So coming back to the India side, I feel over there also things are changing because my brother lives there, and I know if you're very passionate, but you just have to ask the right questions, be at a junior PM role, and talk to the right people and show that passion and drive that you really want to work in a PM role and you want to learn about it. And I think it'll be easy. I mean, you can always pick up a skill. So just give it a shot. I'm not saying it will always be successful, but it's worth trying.
That's great. So, working as a senior product manager at Microsoft is no small feat. Could you shed light on the work ethics and mindset that played a significant role in landing such a reputable position at the company, or any specific experiences or projects that stood out during the hiring process?
Yeah, that's an amazing question, Akshita. I would say that, like I said, University of Arizona has this signed up program with Microsoft, in which Microsoft employees used to come and hire students. So I was actually a team lead. I led a project for Microsoft, which gave me an insight. I then led a project in Intel too, but Microsoft stood out for me because I'm a big, big, big Melinda Gates fan, and it was always a company that just not worked for profits, but did a lot when it comes to philanthropy, with for things for women, things for minorities, and that is something principle that I live with too, right? I believe in education, I believe in equal chances, and somewhere in my principle it stood out. So I was always reading about Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Meta, these companies, and I always was like, okay, you know what, Apple. I was like, what are the different principles of these company? What do they like? What do they don't like? So my thing is that read about the company, read about what are the new things the company is getting, because once you're applying, like in my screening round, they asked me that what is your favorite Microsoft product. Now imagine you're applying at a company and you don't know a product of that company. That will come across as somebody who's not passionate about learning. So things like read about the company, read about their vision, mission, what are they into, does it sync with you, do you want to work for this company? Yeah, I mean, sure, when you get out of school, money is the driving factor. You want to get paid more, you should want that fancy job that can pay your bills, pay your loan, pay your car. Good, if that is your drive, you should know about it, you should make peace with it and then go for a company, but still learn about that company, learn about what are the PMs. So every PM in different companies are different, like I said, right? PMs in Microsoft does the project management work too, whereas PMs in Amazon don't do that. So you need to have that knowledge about what the PMs are doing. And then you should actually reach out to certain people. Like in my internship, I reached out to a lot of senior PMs, principal PMs, wanted to understand their day to day, so that I can adapt myself, so that I can learn from their learnings, their failures. And one questions I asked all of them: what advice would you give your junior PM when you entered, or yourself when you entered? And that advice helped me so much, because then, like, some of them said that I would make deeper relations with my devs, because at the end of the day, devs write your feedback and you get your bonus according to that, right? So what I tried to do when I got that learning, I started making not just work relationships in which I go and say, hey, Ipshita, you're my developer, now develop this for me, but I will be, Ipshita, are you free for lunch today? Let's go and get to know each other outside work. And that way, when I come to you tomorrow for, hey, Shita, where's the code? You won't be angry at me. You'll be like, okay, yeah, she's a friend. You know what? And I'm not saying this is a tactic, but this is how humans work. This is how we work in school too, right? I mean, you have an affinity towards a teacher who not just teaches you, but also sees you as a human, also connects with you on that level. Similarly, when you're at your job, you need to learn from people who are already doing it from years. So yes, read about the company, reach out to people already working in the company, learn from experience, and build yourself a brand. You should stand out. I mean, not everybody gets a job in the top tech. So if you are getting it, you should bring something to the table.
Yeah, so Ankita, you have made some very bold decisions in your career, like pursuing a double major and moving to the US. So, for our young audience here, could you share your approach to identifying the next best step in their career paths?
Yeah, again, a fabulous question. I know it's very nerve wracking. When I was leaving India, it was like a do or die decision. I don't know. I knew no one in the US. I had a friend who was coming with me. That's it. I mean, period. I was just like, okay, let's see how life unfolds. I had taken education loan, so that was again playing in my head. I know a lot of people ask that question that you're taking such a bold decision, and when you're on a loan, how do you go with it? I just feel if you want something, you have to plan it out, right? And that's what I did. I always, like I said, from sixth or seventh grade, I decided I wanted to do masters. I wanted to do actually undergrad, but then I looked into the undergrad fees after 12th, and I come from a middle class, and there was no scholarships that you get. So I gave my SATs. I also was like, okay, I'll go and study my undergrad, but thankfully it did not work out because I got some amazing experience in India, made amazing friends. But my point is that you need to be passionate about your dream. You need to think of a dream, and if that is your dream of coming to US and doing a masters or an undergrad, I would just say go with it. Everything else will figure out. Like, I did not have the funds. My father was the only earning member of the family, but once I did not even know that I would get 90% scholarship if I hadn't applied, right? So I applied, I got that scholarship, I calculated the fund. I also got into Narsing Monji in Mumbai, and I calculated the fees. The fees in Narsi Mochi came out to be more than in University of Arizona. And that's how I was like, okay, you know what? I think this is the path to go. So I'm just like, if money is your factor, try to just give your GMAT, give your best. I mean, that is what I did. I got a 710 score because I put my heart and soul into it while working. So it's not easy, but it's not impossible too. So just go for it. Rest, everything will pan out once you give your best. I believe in that. Like, if you put your heart and soul, your hard work there, things will pan out. And if things don't pan out, because life is life, sometimes those things happen, you can always apply again, you can always approach people again. There's always a next year that comes, you can be more prepped that time. But have that vision, because just like in PMing, if you don't have that vision, nobody else will have that vision for you. So you have to write those things down and really go after it, is my path. And then two masters, yes, it was not easy. There were times that I was eating my lunch and dinner in the libraries because they were like back to back classes, two major degrees. And in US, I mean, it's a lot of practical knowledge, right? You have to really write a lot of papers, do a lot of assignments. You cannot copy assignments. You cannot take even one line from somebody else because they run it through a computerized system. Plagiarism is a big thing in US, so you had to have some everything out of your mind. So, I mean, I'm just saying that again, that was a tough time, but I always saw the light at the end of the tunnel. I was always like, you know what? If I do this, I'm gonna land my dream job. So have that vision. When you have that vision, everything will be so nice.
That's very nice, actually. So, in this fast-paced tech industries, there are certain skills and work experiences that can set candidates apart from the rest. And especially for engineering students who are aspiring to enter this product management domain, how important is it to understand the business aspect of the role as well?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, that is an important piece. You cannot just be technical. And I have seen, I mean, some people struggling there because if even you are amazing technically, I mean, you can understand coding, you can understand APIs, you can understand how things work, but you're not able to communicate that idea to the customer, nobody's going to buy your product. If you cannot communicate that idea to leadership, nobody's going to finance your product. So that product will never see the light in the day. So it is extremely important. As important is technical acumen, that important is the business knowledge. Because, like I told in my talk, it is in the business level where you get the product idea, where you get the vision, where you create what do you want to create. And then communication as a PM is the top skill. If I have to say top three, with problem solving, the next one, like in my slide also, number two was communication. Because It's very important for a PM to bridge that story. Again, it's a skill, it can be learned. Not everybody is born as a great communicator or a storyteller. There are so many courses on LinkedIn free of cost. Don't pay for it. On storytelling, on communication, build that up if you think so. uh, Shruta, that's an amazing point. I think each one of us knows where we lack, right? Some people are not that good in technical technology. Some people are not that good in communication or business. Just go for it. Learn that course. I mean, today you are living in 2023 where knowledge is in your fingertips. I mean, you can just look for that course and get educated there and practice in front of a mirror. Like I remember when I came to America, things over here are presented in a very different way than in India. So I used to practice in front of a mirror when I was going to give presentation to Microsoft clients because these were real Microsoft people and I wanted a job at Microsoft. And I was like, okay, fine, I will talk in front of a mirror. I used to practice, and that's how you build that confidence and that acumen to give a speech or storytell your ideas. Now I don't do that, but I'm just saying that in the past, this was something that you have to do. So just pick that up.
Yeah, that's actually so great. So like every professional, I believe they have their own way of approaching a problem statement and then ideating a product accordingly. So, what preliminary factors do you consider when you analyze a product's potential and then go on to marketing it?
Yeah, that's great. Like I said, I always, so I'm very old school. I still use pen and paper. There's always this notepad right next to me. So if I get a problem, since now I'm at a senior level, I get two lines of problem statement that I have to solve, like two sides of a box. And I go about it. I try to research about it, right? I start with research. I try to see if this is a problem that is getting solved somewhere, some other company is doing it, how they are doing it, what product do they have, what are the reviews on that product. So I go deep analysis over there. If for example that it's not there, right, it's something very new that we are coming up with, I then think about it that if I'm a customer, how would I like this problem to be solved, right? I try to go into the testing environment. I enter as a customer and I try to see, okay, fine, you know what? Had this button been here, for example, of, searching within my employee portal, for example, because I work with enterprises, I can search what Ipshita is working on, and maybe if I'm presenting to Satya Nadella the day after, and Ipshita has already presented to Satya on the same topic, I can search for that presentation, and that will save me so much time because I can directly reach to Ipshita and say what were your learnings, and then build an idea on top of that. That is called leveraging. That is not called that you're copying somebody else's work, but that is you somebody else has done that work and you are not wasting time in doing the same work because that is already done. You are building on top of it, you're bringing in new ideas, right? That is a very important concept in Microsoft, leveraging. So I feel I do that, like I research about it left, right, and center, see outside first, then see inside first if there are different teams, because Microsoft has like 150 plus teams. If some other team is doing this, then I write a document in which I break down the problem, try to do some analysis, and then reach out to the customers with that and see if my thinking is very okay with the people who will actually pay for this product. If they say yes, good, then I take it to leadership. I never jump to the leadership before I've tested it out with the learning in that case, and you'll never be able to deliver it when you're actually giving the interview. uh, you should do whatever you want. If you want to do engineering management MS, go for it. I mean, I would encourage you, if you're not from the United States, to do an MBA if you're actually in that path, because MBA and MIS, because MBA really helps you in understanding how the business is done. And business in the United States is done very differently than in India. The communication is very different, the presentations are very different, and MBA gives you that edge, gives you that confidence to present in an audience of, like I've presented in Microsoft to an audience of 250 or 300 people. Uh, and thanks to my MBA degree, I get that the slide deck and everything, like the whole storytelling aspect. Whereas my MIS degree helped me with understanding the technology, right? So I can speak for MBA and MIS, they're amazing degrees, but the person, if you like MS in engineering management more, go for it, because if you're in US, no company will judge you on what degree you did, but will judge you on the interview that you give on the interview day. And you can easily prepare for that interview if you have an engineering management degree.
That was very insightful. So these next set of questions are what we got from the live chat. So we'll quickly go through those.
Yeah.
So the first question is, like you mentioned, there are different types of product managers, such as operations PM and strategic PM. So, can you please provide examples of the roles and responsibilities that are associated with it?
Yeah, fab. I think strategy PM is driving the strategy. So sometimes, like in my team, I am the strategy PM too, with being the technical PM, because it depends from team to team, company to company, product to product. Sometimes you get a strategy PM in which the strategy PM will drive the whole strategy of a product. That means how will a product look in the first 6 months, in 12 months, in 5 years, in 10 years? What is the vision? What is the strategy that we are going to follow? Like, which are we starting with, North America first, or are we starting with Europe first, or India first, or Asia first? So all those different things is a job of a strategy PM who strategize how to market or move that product from development in the hands of the customer. So think about, like, that was part of the slide too, that you also strategize sometimes, but it depends totally on your role. In certain companies, the technical PM is also a strategy PM because she is the owner of the product, and he or she will determine that, hey, you know what, how this is how I'll strategize it. That's what I do. But if you have a strategy PM, then strategy won't fall on your shoulders. You can just develop the product, think about the UI, think about customers, but the entire plan of how to strategize it will be led by the strategy PM. Similarly, operations PM. Operations is all about, like, for example, I'm Amazon and you are working on the operations side of things, right? Like, how do you deliver products? How do you deal with the operations? Something happens somewhere. For example, if you're working maybe in operations management as a PM, and shipping is a problem, right? Which happened in COVID time, right? Operations were a challenge then. Uh, Ikshita ordered something from India and that is coming from Seattle. Now, how will we deal with the operations channel? How will the operations happen inter-country, country, within the states? How do you market that, right? So it's actually, so PMing can be a whole circle, and then there are different slices to it, right? There's a business PM, there's an operation PM, there's a strategy PM, there's a technical PM, and you can get the whole pie or you can get a piece of it. So operation PMs is actually a PM which only deals with operations. But you can read more about it if you really want to deep dive into how, what is a day to day of an operations PM. But I have never worked as an operation PM. This is just like the top level knowledge that I have.
Okay, so the next question is, when you're pitching your product to the developers, so do you offer guidance to them with the best techniques and strategies for product development as well?
Yeah, great question. It depends on the product to product and whom I'm pitching the idea to, right? If I'm pitching the idea to a junior developer or a developer, senior developer now at my level, my strategy will be very different. I will, right, I will study the technology. I'll see if some other team within Microsoft is doing it and give them examples that, hey, you know what, Teams is doing that, so you should reach out to a Teams dev and see what technology they are using, because the timeline is pretty crunching. We have to deliver this in December, and when I say December, everybody goes on vacation after December 20th. So imagine this like in November, because November end also everybody goes into vacation. So my strategy will be very different in terms that I also give them some documents, some help, uh, or maybe if that the person is a senior dev, but I have worked with them in the past and I know how do they operate. It's a lot about people skills too, right? So you have to understand your developer, what type of a person they are. Some people like that, some people don't like that. It's their work, right? So you have to be very mindful on what are you telling them to do, because they don't report to you, but they work with you, they are your peer. Whereas when I'm pitching the idea to a principal dev or a partner dev, then I won't tell them that, you should do this thing like this, because they are more educated and knowledgeable and more higher up than me. I will try to come from a customer side of view and tell them that, hey, you know what, customers really need it. These are some, and double quote the lines from customers saying that, hey, you know what, the customers will be very happy if you deliver this, and this is the plan that I have made, and I would love for you to go through it and see how many developers are needed, and I'll leave the everything of decision making to them. So always remember, when you're working as a PM, you have to understand personalities, you have to understand your developers, your designer, what do they like, what's their work style, and then play by that to work in a good team player environment.
Okay, great. So this question is from someone who I was saying, considering my MBA qualification, over 5 years of experience, and current employment at a top consulting firm in India, I intend to relocate to the US, particularly the Bay Area, in March 2024. Can you suggest a 1 year course that would facilitate my transition into product management and provide promising job opportunities with salary ranges between $1,500,000 and $200,000, given my professional background? This person is Shivangi Gupta.
Okay, hi Shivangi. Very detailed question. I love that. I cannot guarantee the salary, sorry, but what I can tell you is a lot of I would suggest anybody who's trying from India to come to America. The immigration system is a little messed up here, so try to get into a STEM course. So courses like MIS, courses like engineering management, I think is STEM. Courses that are related to engineering are STEM. There are brilliant MIS courses. Like my course was for 1.5 years, but some universities do provide them in 1 year. So if you get a course which is an MIS, information systems or information technology for 1 year, and a STEM, go for it because STEM gives you 3 shots in your visa application. Whereas MBA, if you just come to do pure MBA, you'll just get one chance. That means it's a lottery, by the way. So if you're not picked in that one chance, you have to go back to India. So my take is that if you are planning to work here for a few years, go for a STEM course, learn about technology, how things are done, get those 3 shots at the visa for 1 year, and then apply. And yes, I mean, if you want to apply in Bay Area, then I would say suggest to go for a California college or something that is near to Bay Area. You can also come to Seattle for University of Washington. But somewhere where you see that a lot of companies' headquarters are, like Seattle is amazing because Amazon, Microsoft, Boeing, and a lot of Starbucks, a lot of companies have their headquarters here. They originated from Seattle, whereas Bay Area is more good for startups and companies like Google, Apple. They have their headquarters there. So it totally depends on what you're targeting. But California colleges are expensive, so just make sure that you have the budget to stay, to work, and then the scholarship chances also go a little low because a lot of people are applying in California. So yeah, you have to consider all those factors. But 1 year courses are available. So I would say start number one, start with the universities you want to apply and the states you want to apply. And then within that university, reach out to the careers team and try to talk to them that what are the 1 year courses that you have which fall under STEM. That should be the right route.
Okay, so the next question is regarding the visa. So they're saying, in your case, during your employment at Microsoft, were you sponsored for an H-1B visa? I am curious to understand how the sponsorship process works for international individuals who require H-1B visa sponsorship, particularly in the current scenario.
Yeah, that's true. So once you come and study here, you are on F1 visa, which is a student visa. And as soon as you get a job in the United States, your company applies for your H1B and also your green card, which Microsoft did for me. So that's what companies do. And then once you start working for the company, you come to H1. You also can do H4 if you have a partner here who is on H1, which is a dependent visa. That means if your partner's visa H1B is there, until then you can work on H4. And H4, you can work in various fields. You don't just have to be in technology. But yeah, that is the right form. And whatever company you get the job into will apply for your visa. But you should check with the company too. There are some people who got into like medium size or small companies who do not apply for H1Bs. Uh, all the big tech companies, all the big consulting companies apply for H1B. So that shouldn't be a hassle.
Okay, so based on your experience, have you observed that a particular personality type tends to excel or thrive better in the role of a product manager?
I think somebody who can understand different personalities and can communicate well. I've met all different kinds of PMs. I have met introvert PMs who are amazing when it comes to storytelling and presentations. But in one-on-one, they might not that be that interactive, but they are amazing with an audience of like 20 plus or 50 plus. I have, and they're amazing in their job. Then I've met extrovert PMs who are amazing in relationship building. I think on the personality, there's no personality type, but like I said, there are skills. If you can learn those skills of communicating, of being empathetic with your, not just your customers, but also your team, your developers, your designers, and you can be a team leader when required because you lead your product. You have to keep everybody on track. That means your developers should deliver on what date you should tell them, but also be a team player. That means be mindful if somebody is not feeling well or you should know the style of their working, if they want to work alone and then come back, or they want you to guide them how to work and break down their milestones. So I think the number one basic skill will be people skills. Like you should definitely excel in that to be a good and strong PM.
That's great. So, as an aspiring master's candidate, this is someone aiming to eventually enter the field of product management, could the lack of a quantitative background stemming from arts or humanities potentially hinder one's prospect of for securing a PM role after completing a MBA or MS degree? Additionally, in your experience and expertise, which specific master's program would be most advantageous for someone looking to transition into product management?
Yeah, I think I have been saying this. I'm saying this again. You don't have to do a particular degree. Do what you like doing. Trust me, that'll help you more because you will at least love what you're studying, right? I did chemical engineering when everybody wanted me to do computer science because I wanted to study chemical engineering. I did Master of Information System and MBA because I wanted to study it. I did not come with a plan of applying to product management. And then when I was studying, I was like, you know what? This is really cool. I should apply for it. So answering the number one question, I don't think so that without your any humanity or that kind of a degree you would not be okay with applying to product management. No, that's a myth. You should apply to product management with your engineering degree, with your MBA degree, with your MIS degree, whatever degree you want to pursue. And the second question, what's the best masters? Again, like I cannot tell that to you because it's totally dependent. Like if I tell you that, hey, you know what, MBA is the best masters, but you come here and do not enjoy MBA and do not pass. So you do not pass with good grades, good GPA. GPA is not that of a big factor here, but it is a factor. You have to submit your GPA, and then you also have to be good in what you're learning because on your resume you'll be writing, "Hey, I did business analytics in MBA." And if somebody asks you a question on business analytics, you're not able to answer that. So that shows that whatever you're doing, you're not doing it out of passion, right? That is one of the things when you're applying for junior roles, companies test you out, right? What is on your resume? Are you good in that what you have written? If you're doing a master of information system and you've written database management and they give you a SQL query and you're not able to do it, they'll be like, what did you learn in school? So I'm just saying, do what your heart says. Of course, think about it. Like I said, think about whether it is STEM or not. Think about if you have 3 degrees, where do you feel the more passionate about? And then go and approach those people who are doing that degree on LinkedIn. That's what I did. I approached people studying in University of Arizona, tried to talk to them that, hey, how's the course? Do you like it? What are the job prospects after the course? Are the companies taking MBA and MIS grads? Ask those logical questions and then go and apply for it. But I don't think so. Any masters is better than the other masters because, like I said, there are people in my team who have masters in literature. There are people in my team who have masters in MBA and MIS. There are people in my team who did not even have masters. They just did undergrad and now they are like successful PMs. So there is no one formula, one size fits all. It depended on your personality and what you want to do.
I think your last question covered our last. Your last statement covered our last question. It was, is masters important for landing a PM role?
No,
And
no,
yeah,
no. It's
so
not. But one thing I can say is that if you are transitioning from one country to other, masters helps you because it's US is very different from India. It is not community based. You won't magically go out and make friends. My major friends, my major groups come out of masters. My major learnings in settling in a new country, the struggle that comes out of masters. So if you are coming to a new country, I tell everyone that education is so amazing over here. Like when it comes to masters, because there's so much of practical knowledge. Like on a summer project, they took us to Chile in South America to show us how industries work, so that we can apply that knowledge. So imagine, I mean, that kind of knowledge when you're getting and you have that age, that time, definitely take it because time is not going to come back. But if you are like, okay, you know what, I don't like studying, I don't want to do masters, I just want to do get into the job and start working and start earning, then that is a decision you're taking for yourself. Just remember, when you come here, making friends will be a little harder just because everybody does their job and go to their homes. You might go out and approach different people in different setups, like join the basketball team or the dance team or something like that. But masters is a good way to enter into a country and get to know how a country works, how business works, how people interact, how friends are made, etc. So I would encourage that, but it's totally dependent on your economic condition and your mindset.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ankita, for sharing your wisdom and answering these questions with such valuable insights. Your journey and advice are truly inspiring to all of us. We extend our gratitude to the audience for being a part of this enriching talk. And with that, we conclude our first session of this edition of QSTB Talks. Stay tuned for more inspiring session with exceptional individuals from various fields. Until next time, take care and keep pushing your boundaries. Goodbye.
Thank you.